All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Forward Thinking Founders, where we talk to founders about their companies, their visions for the future, and how the two collide. Today, I'm very excited to be talking to Robin Guldener, who's a co-founder of Nango. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Hi, Matt. Great to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you on the podcast. Looking forward to learning more about what you're working on. For people that haven't heard of your company, what are you working on? What is Nango?
Yeah, so with Nango, we make it easy for engineers to integrate their product with third-party APIs. So you know how, like, for instance, MailChimp connects to your CRM, pulls out all the contacts, and then like lets you send email newsletters to those. We make building those really easier for engineers. So we have like sort of pre-built components for like OAuth and syncing data. So you can really focus on the core of what your integration is supposed to do. And we do like sort of all the heavy lifting in the background.
I love that. So is this the type of company? Do you sell straight to developers? Do you sell to like heads of companies and then developers use it? Help me understand like who are you talking to about this when you're going into a company and who's using it?
Yeah, so I think it's mostly, the developers directly. Like a lot of the users sort of, they're looking to build basically with the third-party API. And so their choice is sort of between using something pre-built, where they take something off the shelf, or you sort of like build something from scratch in-house. And we're sort of like a third option. We have pre-built infrastructure, so you don't have to go and reinvent the wheel on OAuth or thinking data from the third-party API to your local database. We have like pre-built components for that. But then you like get full access to the API, so you can build exactly the kind of integration that you want to build. And so that tends to be, sort of the engineering teams who get tasked with that, and so they're the ones, sort of discovering and adopting Nango.
And I'm curious, tell me a little bit about the origin of the story here. Why did you decide to start Nango?
Yeah, so it's actually a pain that me and my co-founder experienced at our last companies. Like we sort of both had, integration heavy products that required a lot of integrations with other softwares. We had like up to like, 15, 20% of our engineering resource being like, used just for that, which felt insane to us as like sort of engineering focused founders. But like, the sales side, people were like, well, integrations are the key, right? Like they're the reason people buy us. And so we realized that there's not really like a lot out there with regards to helping engineers build integrations better. And so that's a problem that we decided to focus on. And that's how we, sort of led to Nango eventually.
I love that. And then, as you've been working on this, obviously, you experienced this problem firsthand, as you mentioned. So I feel like you already understand a lot of like the market and the space. But like, what have you learned since you got started on Nango? Are there things about go to market or sales or product development that have been, something that you've learned so far?
Yeah, I think we were surprised to see like, how many of the product and engineering teams are really sort of building, every integration from scratch in-house. Like I think we were expecting there to be sort of more tools or like sort of blueprints available for people, but it really feels like sort of a custom job that gets done for every product and every integration. And to some degree, it really is like sort of, every product is unique and you need to like sort of integrate it with the other software in exactly the way that makes sense for your customers. And I think that was something that surprised us when we first learned it and have since sort of come to realize that that's just how the game works basically in this market.
And then if you were to kind of look out into the future, 5, 10, 15 years, what do you see as the big vision here? If everything goes as planned, what does Ningo look like in a decade or two?
Yeah, I think the interesting part is that, there's like more and more software out there, right? Like it's really, permeating everything in our world and in our lives. And so like we expect that software to seamlessly interoperate with all the other things that we have. So we think like, sort of APIs will become even more important in the future and like integrations will become even more key. So we hope like Nango can become sort of like a fabric for, how this software like interconnects and we make the data exchange easier basically. Yeah.
And in order to make that happen, you'll need some help, right? I mean, it takes a village to make a startup work and scale and become big. So, how can the forward-thinking founders community help? Are you hiring? Are you raising money, looking for customers, partners, beta testers for new features? How can we help?
Yeah, so Nango is open source. We obviously always, super happy about, any sort of contributions. There's like plenty of places to like work, help out if somebody's interested. And the other thing is obviously always, if we can help a team like build an integration easier, it's open source, it's free to self-host. You can just, try it, see if it works for you. And we're always super glad for any feedback that you have, or obviously also, contributions to the repository. Those make us, the most happy.
Totally. And then for my last question, if someone wanted to learn more about you on the internet or connect, where can they find you or learn more? Do you have a website, social media, email, anything like that?
Yeah, we're reachable on nango.dev. So that's like mango with an N. Also the repositories on GitHub, so that's also Nango. And there you'll find everything you need to get started.
Cool. And I do have one more question that just popped up because I'm curious.
Sure.
Where tell me about how'd you come up with the name? I think it's a cool name. It's catchy. Is there any like story behind the name?
Sort of. I was looking for like startup names, and you know, my girlfriend is really big on alpinism. She kept telling me about Nanga Parbat, which is one of the largest like mountains, and I always thought like the name sounded really, really fucking cool. And so I was, you know, thinking about it, and somehow like Nango came up, and I saw that the domain was free, and I just went for it.
I love that. The way that company names come into fruition is always so interesting to me. So appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming out of the podcast. Congrats on getting this off the ground. Looking forward to seeing where it goes. And thank you again for coming on.
Thanks, Matt, for having us.